I am a dwarf and I'm digging a hole. Diggy diggy hole. Alright, welcome everybody. Welcome to Simple Songwriting, episode 13. We're doing a fun one today. One that it's a band that Aubrey's mentioned a few times, Windrose. And we are doing the song Diggy Diggy Hole. Yeah, I'm really excited for this one. It's gonna be a fun episode, I think. Yeah, I just we'll get more into that song later, but let's jump in. Have you listened to anything new this week, Aubrey?
So I don't know if you saw that Atreyu. I was like, what is their name? Atreyu released like another reimagining song.
I think I saw it, but I didn't listen to it, and I didn't even see what song it was. What was it?
It was Becoming the Bull.
Wait, that's
Um
their song. I thought you meant like
it,
a.
yeah, so if you look at the album that's coming out, it looks like it's just a bunch of reimaginings of some of their songs and some other random stuff,
Oh man,
but mostly their songs.
that's actually like one of their better songs. Well,
Yeah, no, I think that's an okay thing to say.
well, okay. Let me put it like this: I actually am not a fan of what is it, Lead Sails and Paper Anchors. Um,
Yeah.
I'm not really a big fan of that album. I think it's funny because I remember growing up, like a bunch of people showed me that album, and I had listened to like a song or two from it, but I wasn't like super blown away by it. I mean, you gotta remember it came out like around the same time as like the White Album from Avenged Sevenfold. I mean, I don't think they're even comparable, but I was listening when I finally went and listened to like all of Atreyu's discography. Um, I think their first album, I know a lot of people like it, but I think their first album's just okay. But The Curse and uh, A Death Grip on Yesterday, I think are fantastic albums. I actually really, really like those albums. And then I got to Lead Sails Paper Anchors and I was kind of excited to hear it. And I was like, oh, I'm not quite feeling this as much. Like it feels like they lost something, you know? So
I mean, I like all their albums. Well, let me rephrase that. I like all their albums until they got rid of their
Screamer.
Screamer. Yeah.
I honestly I tried to listen to some of the stuff after lead lead sales paper anchors. I think I what was it, Congregation of the Damned, Long
Yeah.
Live, and then they did that like Baptize album.
Yeah, that Baptiste album
That
was
was
not it.
it was definitely not it. And then they did some other weird thing. I know they had M Shadows on a feature, and I remember listening to that on one of their later albums and just thinking like, man, they really like did not utilize M Shadows. Um yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting band, like, because they're definitely good. Like they have great songs and they're all really good at their instruments, but I just feel like they have over time really just hopped on like the generic train. It's interesting because I remember talking to like my singer about it, and he was saying that there was a time where he thought Atreyu was better than Avenged Sevenfold, and that there was just to even think that there was this point in time like around what 2003 2004 where like those two bands were on the same level is kind of strange, you know? Like when Atreyu came through Austin, they played at Come and Take It Live, and they've come through twice. I've seen them twice in Austin. And they played at Dirty Dog, which no longer exists, but it was on 6th Street, and then they played at Come and Take It Live. And I've played at both of those venues. So like I played at both of those venues many times. So it's just like weird to think like I'm playing like Atreyu is playing the same venues that I play at. Obviously they had bigger crowds, but like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Avenged Sevenfold is not playing at Come and Take It Live. So it's just
Yeah.
interesting. It's an interesting thing. But was it any good?
It's just different. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's fantastic. It's just kind of there. It's just a different take on it.
Okay.
Um, I think it's worth listening to.
I'll
Prefer the
definitely.
original
I
better or
yeah,
more.
I feel like I saw it on Instagram or something, and then just completely forgot about it. And like I just saw the screenshot or something from Brandon. So, um, yeah, I'll definitely go check that out. Um,
Other than that, um, nothing new, just kind of going back and listening to some older stuff. I listened to Crowbot a good bit this week, and I listened to Lindsey Sterling.
she's fun.
And today, I listened to a lot of Led Zeppelin. But that's pretty much it for my musical journey this week.
Cool, cool. I let's see. The I think the big thing that I listened to was uh LL Cool J and Eminem came out with a song together this past week called Murdergram. Yeah.
Interesting.
So LL Cool J has always been one of like Eminem's biggest influences, and like one of my favorite stories from him is him saying that he heard "I'm Bad" by LL Cool J, and it like he just quit rapping. Like Eminem quit rapping for like I think he said like 3 days. Or maybe it was longer than that. Maybe it was like a month or two or something, and then he was just like, okay, I gotta get back to it. He just said that he was so blown away by LL Cool J on that song. It was just crazy. It was a huge like he was just like, oh my god, I'll never be as good as this guy type of moment for him. So I don't think, and they've always like shown each other a lot of respect, but I don't think that they've ever actually done a song together. So yeah, they did a song. It is like honestly, it's awesome. Oh, it's called Murdergram Deu, Deux. How's that pronounced? Deux. Deus Ex Machina.
Sure.
I think
Deus.
just look up Murdergram. But yeah, it's really good. Both of them are rapping their asses off. I was really enjoying it. So yeah, that was definitely a cool collab to hear. Aside from that, I don't know. I think I went back and listened to a little bit of Life Is But a Dream. Um, I always like going back to the album. It's a really fun one. It's a good album. So
Ooh.
cool. Well, if you don't have anything else, Aubrey, you ready to jump into this one?
Let's dig into it, Kim.
All right. So there is a reason why I picked this song. A few weeks back, you briefly mentioned like Windrose did Diggy Diggy Hole or something, right? And I was like, I remember thinking maybe it was like on the podcast. So I remember like thinking, oh, I should look into that. But I just kind of forgot about it until last week when we got off we got finished with our episode. So I want to ask you something, Aubrey, about this song.
Hmm.
Did you know this song is a cover?
I did not.
Oh, Aubrey, have I got some fun lore for you? So let's take it way back. Let's take it back to like 2010. Okay.
Huh?
Little sophomore Cameron in high school, I found a YouTube channel called The Yogscast. Have you ever heard of them?
Only when you've talked to me about it, but I have not personally, I don't think at least watched them.
So I'll give a little bit of background on the Yogscast. I started watching them. They went famous for playing Minecraft, and they did like the first few big popular Minecraft videos, but then they ended up making like a lot of really great content. They are the only like YouTube like garbage junk TV, whatever you want to call it, I still watch. It's like all of the YouTube channels from that time period from like 2010, 2011, all those YouTubers are gone or they're just not as popular, but I've always loved the Yogscast. Just the other night, I was eating dinner and I turned on the Yogscast because they do like they just have lots of cool stuff that I've always liked. I've been watching them for years. They're some of my favorite YouTubers, some of my favorite content creators. Well, guess what? I'd say I remember when this happened, like on the actual episode. where they did a series, and this is one of the most popular Minecraft series, and it was called Shadow of Israfel. And they never completed it because it was like 40 episodes long, and they just got so big at the time that they started doing different projects. But I remember this. Let me know. Can you hear my
It
screen?
needs to be something.
Yeah, yeah,
Can you hear
yeah.
that? Okay. So check this out. They're talking about like a theme song for Shadow of Israfel.
It needs to be something. It needs to be something funny and sort of light-hearted, doesn't it? Um, Upbeat. I'm a dwarf and I'm digging a hole. Diggy diggy hole. Diggy.
So that's where this song comes from, Aubrey. That right there. They're playing Minecraft and they were just talking about what to, make the theme song for the Yogscast and for Simon. And so that I am a dwarf and I'm digging a hole, it became a joke on the Yogscast. So a few years after that, they got much bigger and they actually got a production budget. They actually got like budget and they released this. Not that. Not that. Fuck. Hold on. I'm just gonna fast forward, but I am a dwarf and I'm digging a hole. Diggy diggy hole. Diggy diggy hole. I am a dwarf. So they basically spent years joking about making that song. And I remember it in real time because it was always just like this funny thing. And it was like a meme on their YouTube channel, like, I am a dwarf and I'm digging a hole. And so I've always known about that song. I've literally known about that song for over a decade now. And so when you mentioned it, I was like, there's no way. There's no way. Because I did not know that another like metal band had covered it. So I actually love this song. I've listened to this song for years. Um, it's great. And I'm really excited to talk about it more.
My jaw is literally dropped.
Yeah. Yeah. This song is like I'm not even joking. I'm not exaggerating. This song is quite literally my childhood. This is like my growing up in high school watching Minecraft YouTubers. My favorite Minecraft YouTubers that I still watch to this day. I will eat my dinner and watch an episode of the Yogscast, and sometimes they will still reference that, like just chatting. They'll be like, I am a dwarf and I'm digging a hole. So there
I
you
think you just
go.
ruined the song for me.
Oh, come on. No,
Everything I know is a lie.
my life. um, yeah, I think it's absolutely hilarious. I think it's even funnier as I looked into Windrose that like they are specifically a dwarven metal band. Like that is their genre is dwarven metal. Um, because no, they're a better band couldn't have covered this song. Um,
No other band can't cover that song.
I don't seriously. I don't think any other band. Because here's the thing, right? This is what's funny is because it's them. You could actually think it's their song. Like it
Oh,
fits.
well, I mean,
You,
hello.
yeah, right. It fits perfectly within their discography. So I really was excited to sit. I didn't want to spoil it for you. I wanted to say it on the show. Um, but yeah, this song is a classic, classic. And what's funny is if you look at it on YouTube, the Windrose one has like 58 million views, but the original
That's
Diggy,
like the song that got them popular.
oh yeah, it got him popular because of the Yogscast. The original Yogscast Diggy Diggy Hole has 67 million views. Like this is a very famous song. For the Oxcast. And so it's really funny. I just love this whole like situation. Because yeah, I don't know. I don't I you like I said, you had mentioned them. You had mentioned Windrose and you were like, yeah, like Diggy Diggy Hole and this other song. And I was like, what? What did he say? Like, did he really say that? Um Yeah, man. So there you go. There's a little bit of Cameron lore. I love this song. I adore it. I have like nostalgia with this song. So hearing the metal cover of it is actually really fun, and was kind of cool for me. How did you hear about this song? What's your story with this song?
Not- it was, at a prime time where we were all playing D&D together, and it just kind of popped up in my life, and I was like, "This song is incredible!" And yeah, I would literally, I played that song to the point at which Devin and Bailey were tired of it. They're like, "You need to listen to another song."
Yeah.
And I would listen to it before every session that we played of D&D. And now I feel like my entire life is a fucking lie.
Yeah. Yep. Turns out it all came
It
from
needs to be
this.
something. I'm a dwarf and I'm digging a hole. Diggy diggy hole. Diggy.
There it is. From like 20, that had to have been, what was this? Shadow of Israfel Part 8. I remember watching these when they came out. Uh Shadow of Israfel 8 came out 13 years ago. The name of the episode
We're
is
here.
the name of the episode is Diggy Diggy Hole. February 3rd, 2011. Ah, good times. Good
Oh,
times. What were you doing in 2011, Aubrey?
not listening to this.
Not listening to Diggy Diggy Hole. Whole
2011 was a lot of soccer and Bailey.
nice, nice.
So, yeah,
I
that
don't think we
was.
were talking then. We
Mm,
might have like chatted a little bit on Facebook or something. Because that would,
yeah, I'm sure there's some cringe Facebook comments when I look at the memories of stuff.
oh God. Don't,
Yeah.
yo, Ivan and I used to just be yapping on Facebook. I get memories sometimes from like 14 years ago. I'm like, I don't even remember being on Facebook in 2008. Ugh. Anyway,
Yeah, I have some Cameron Gold on my Facebook wall.
I
I know
I
for a fact.
I bet you do. I'm pretty sure I have some Aubrey gold as well. I think it's one of those things where like it comes up and I see it and I'm just like, I'm not even gonna hold that against Aubrey because I think like all of us like at that time because it was funny. It was I mean, Facebook was basically like, I don't know, like
It was kind of basically
it
new
was basically
in a
it was like
sense.
4chan or Reddit or something. Like you were anonymous. Like your parents weren't on. Like you weren't anonymous, but like adults weren't there. So we'd just be chatting, like just bullshitting. I don't think, and especially at the time, I don't think you could have ever predicted that it would be like the downfall of civilization or whatever the fuck it is now. Like it's just this like social media crazy conglomerate thing that it is now. So we just be posting shit. Actually, you know what showed up on my memories like today? Uh,
Yes, I do actually. Uproar Fest.
Heck yeah.
Because I also checked that memory.
Nice. Yeah, I was looking at it, I was like, oh hell yeah. But man, I was so cringe. I was like, best concert ever. Like chill out, Cam. Doogie Doogie Hole. Yeah, none of my friends have ever liked Yogscast. I've never, it's always just been like a totally 100% me thing. Um, so man, I've grown up listening to them and or like watching them. And they do, nowadays they do like a lot of Gary's Mod stuff. They kind of moved away from Minecraft videos. Though actually they're kind of coming back to them now. Like recently they've been doing a few different Minecraft videos, but yeah, they I don't know. I've always really liked them. I've always liked the guy, the main the so in Yogg's cast, they each have their Minecraft skins, and the dwarf is Simon, and he's like kind of the mascot for the Yogg's cast. He's a really funny dude. So he was a dwarf, and that was like his whole meme or his whole joke was being a dwarf. So Yeah, hilarious. Um, okay, cool. Well, I think that's enough backstory. That's why I wanted to do this song. It's a fun song. It's a classic YouTube song. So let's dive in. What do you say, Burrito?
Yes. Let's dig in.
Dig in. You've been prepping
Even
these.
though everything I know is a fucking lie.
I know you. I ruined the song for you.
I think he really did. I'm not gonna lie. Like
Dang.
everything, every thought and feeling I have about Windrose has just suddenly been like, I have to ponder it now.
I mean, to be fair, hold on. Before I totally ruin Windrose for you,
He didn't
let's
ruin Windrose per se, because they have other bangers. But like, I'm just kind of like, hmm,
let's look at the names of their other songs and of Iron and Gold, Winter Saga, Drunken Dwarves, Diggy
that's
Diggy
a good
Hole,
song.
Mine, The Art of War, There and Back Again, The King Under the Mountain, We Were Warriors. I feel like this song 100% fits perfect in that discography. It's
I mean, yeah,
it's kind of uncanny how well it fits. And it's actually wild that they like really went all in on like dwarven metal.
yeah. That's like, it's like, could you imagine little Timmy being like, I want to be a Dwarven metal band person when I grow up? And you're like, okay.
Okay.
Don't sit next to that kid on the bus.
Weirdo. The dwarf guy singing Diggy Diggy Hole.
But I will say I have seen them live, and 1,000% if you get the opportunity, not just you, Cam, just anybody in general, you got to go. Like even if you don't like them, me and my brother-in-law went. I took him for his birthday, and the concert is a freaking party.
So that's the funny
Like,
thing, right? Like that's the funny thing with these types of bands, like these really theatric, like I don't know what you call it, like medieval bands.
yeah.
Glory Hammer, like Glory Hammer.
The only ones that I'm kind of really actually familiar with are Windrose and Ale Storm, not to be confused with Hail Storm with an H, Ale with an A.
Yeah. My singer listens to Glory Hammer and it's kind of they're a little more futuristic, like they're like futuristic medieval or some shit. But yeah, I would love to see something like this live because they go all in on like the craziness and the party aspect.
Yeah,
It's a lot of fun.
it was great. It was a great show. Like the whole everybody in the venue was jumping up and down the whole time. Like moved I haven't been to a show like that where literally the whole crowd is actively participating nonstop, no phones out type stuff.
Well, it's funny because it's such a like niche genre, like dwarven metal. Like if you're gonna if let me put it this way, I don't think there's anybody that's like halfway into dwarven metal. Like you either love that shit or you don't, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Like who there's no one that's just like, "Oh yeah, I ponder in dwarven metal from time to time." Like, no. you if you're going to a dwarven metal concert, a Windrose concert, like you're a fan. You're in it, you know? So,
Yeah.
cool. Fun stuff. Yeah, I'll keep an eye out for him then. Especially now that I know like cuz you've mentioned them a few times and so I think I was like, "Oh yeah, I need to check them out. I need to check them out." And then the other day I remembered. I was like, "Wait, Diggy Diggy Hole. He had mentioned that." Like, is it really? Like, could it be the long lost Diggy Diggy Hole from my
Yes,
childhood?
indeed.
Um, all right, cool. Let's get into this song. So I will say that there are a decent number of like differences between this and the original song. I think like the whole musical interlude in the middle is like not in the original. Um, I think that that's like 100% Windrose. They also just take tons of instrumental liberties and it works perfectly. So like yeah, it is still, it does still feel like a very different and distinct song, but so there's basically what I'm saying is that there were still a lot of like new things for me to pick up on and enjoy. So cool. Let's get started with this intro though. So I'm gonna pause it there. Um, One of the things that I really like about this song and what they do here, and I'm gonna specifically say it's Windrose. I'm gonna, because they do a lot of things differently instrumentally. So we're just gonna be purely talking about Windrose as if they wrote the song, because they did take a lot of liberties with it. They did a great job layering all of this and like bringing in the rock instrumentals, bringing in the strings and the horns and the flute. So this intro is definitely longer and extended. Um, it does a good job setting up the song, especially when that flute comes in. So yeah, we start off with the drums and then we come in with the strings and then we're going to get the horns. So we just keep layering upward and upward. Here's the horns. And I personally, I love those types of horns. That like I love horns that sound like that. I don't know what exactly they're doing because I'm not like a horn player, but it's like they have that big burst at the beginning of the note and then it kind of goes quiet for a second, almost like it fades out, but then it like explodes again at the end. I think that just sounds so smooth. Here, hold on, let's listen to that again. Boom. Yeah, that's super cool. What do you think about horns, Aubrey? Do you have any thoughts on horns, like trumpets and shit?
Uh, I mean, like, I'm a big fan of any instruments that is instrumentation that is used in a creative and appropriate way, right? Like, this intro goes hard. This is like, grab your pickaxe. We're going to the mine.
Going to the mines. You know, it's funny. I've always loved horns and the way they sound. I remember I was listening to a Taylor Swift interview actually, and one of the things that she said was, for the longest time she had a vendetta against horns. Like anytime her producers or someone would say like let's put horns there, she'd be like absolutely not. Like no trumpets, nothing. I don't want it. And she was just describing like how she does not like horns. But then when she was making, I believe it was 1989, that album, uh, and she had the song "Shake It Off," that was the first time where her producer was like, "We should have some horns or something," and she's like, "Listen, put some horns on it, but like make it something I would actually like." So then, yeah, "Shake It Off" was like the first song that she did that had horns. Um, I don't know why that story always stuck out to me. I just thought it was very interesting because I don't think you see that side of like an artist like Taylor Swift very often, where they're literally they're talking about the musical elements. Usually it's all about the lyrics and the style and whatever, but like it's a nice little tidbit from Taylor Swift that shows like her musical leanings, if that makes sense.
I was gonna say preferences, but yeah.
Yeah, preferences, because it's like, I mean, Taylor Swift is a very like feminine artist, very soft and you know what I mean? Like it's girl music. And so it makes sense that like she wouldn't want like this sounds like tough dwarves going into the mines, like that's what we would think of when we think of like tubas and trumpets and trombones and stuff. So it's just interesting to see her kind of flip that and turn it into, Shake It Off, which is a very like fun, upbeat, shake, shake, shake it off, that whole thing. Um, it's just interesting. It's just very interesting seeing how different artists will approach stuff like that. Um, Even like Avenged Sevenfold, right? Like when they use horns, it's always very interesting and it adds something. Like I always think about like the horns at the beginning of what's that damn song called? Shepherd of
Little Piece
Fire.
of Heaven, Shepherd of Fire.
Well,
They got a lot of horns.
they do, and I mean that's the thing that I like about Avenged Sevenfold is that they've always been a very orchestral band, always willing to bring in different elements. Yeah, here. What's funny though is I actually don't really like the horns at the beginning of Shepherd of Fire. I always thought they sounded a little weird. Um, Here, let's play them real quick. Just that little like it always just sounded a little like flat to me, or not flat musically, but like just kind of deflated. Did you ever get that?
Uh,
What?
no, not really. But of all the Avenged Sevenfold albums, Hail of the King is definitely my least listened to. Not because it's bad. I don't think it's bad.
Yeah.
I just kind of forget that it exists sometimes.
I don't think it has quite the same amount of staying power as their other albums.
Yeah.
And I just remember.
Um,
Wait, what were you about to say?
I was gonna say, like, I feel like Hail of the King is a great album. Um, and I'm trying to think of, I mean, like, I don't think I've ever listened to an Avenged song that has orchestral-esque vibes or, orchestration and ever thought that those, like, that was dumb or that was weak,
Mm-hmm. There's,
personally.
well, it's like everything that they do is typically on point. Um,
Yeah.
I think I don't know why this is like I don't even know what you would call this. This is like such a small thing. It doesn't even sound bad. I just remember the first time I heard it, I remember just thinking like that kind of sounded weird. And like I feel like they wanted it to have this big epic sound, kind of like what you Windrose does. But I've always felt like, and I still kind of do to this day, I've always felt like that horn sounds just a little like, I don't know. I don't know. Here, let's listen again. See, now then that like, like that sounds fantastic. It's just that first, like, it almost sounds like a fart, like, you know? I don't know. I'm definitely probably overthinking it, but like compare it to Windrose. See, hear how powerful that sounds?
Yeah. I
So
think different, going for different things, though.
yeah, no, I mean definitely, and it's like again, this is like the nitpickiest of nitpicky. It's not like it's I love Shepherd of Fire. Shepherd of Fire is awesome, and that intro is awesome. So it's not like a thing. It's just I think it's funny. It's like horns are weird. They seem like, how can I phrase this? I feel like people don't talk about something like horns specifically when they're talking about music. And so I just think it's interesting to have the conversation about horns and what they do to a song. And especially like for some reason, listening to Taylor Swift talk about them. Like it was just it's always just interesting to me. Like horns, like it's this, I don't know. They seem typically like a background thing, but like, ever since I started writing horn parts, because I use MIDI stuff to write horn parts in some of my songs, it's like you just think like it's a weird thing to think like, oh, this could use like some trumpets or something, and usually they're kind of a background instrument, but they're also like very front forward and like in your face too if they're done right. It's just weird. So anyway, little horn tangent. So let's keep going on this diggy diggy hole. In fact, there's a very fun thing coming up. What is that, Aubrey? Can you tell me what they're doing with that flute?
Well, I didn't hear it, but the do 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 do. I know what they do with the flute, but I don't know why I couldn't hear that all of a sudden now. That's interesting.
Oh, hold on. You can't hear that?
Uh, no. but it's okay. I know the answer. They are playing you the verse so that when you recognize it here later in the future, uh, you are familiar with the tones.
You are right, except you used all the wrong words.
Well, but I'm right.
I know
They're they're
exactly
they're
who.
they're playing the chorus. Maybe is it chorus? Is what we're going for?
They are playing the chorus melody,
Yes,
so you will recognize the melody when you hear it.
it feels familiar and welcoming.
Exactly. All right, here. Can you hear it now?
Yes, yes, I can.
And I'm digging a hole, diggy diggy hole, diggy diggy hole. Yeah. You are 100% correct, Aubrey. So they are setting up the chorus melody so that way when you hear it in the chorus, you already know it. So it'll be easier for you to remember. Fun stuff. All right. So yeah, they basically do that. Yeah. One thing that's fun too is that they actually hold on. Do they bring I think they cut the horns out here.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, so I noted that. So they've got the drums, strings, the horns come in a little bit just to have that build up, and then we get into the chorus melody. And then we have the first, in what I think is the first bit of Windrose liberty taking with the song. Let's hear it. That is awesome. That's an awesome intro. Um, yeah. So what's cool about this? Well, first off, the drummer's incredible. The drummer for this band, I don't know who he is. I've never really listened to this band before, but he is so spot on with everything that he does. He knows how to do. So here's what's impressive about him is he knows how to do all of this really crazy, impressive, like technical drum stuff, like fills and double kicks and all of that stuff, but still make it very musical and very fun and enjoyable. That type of stuff can get really overwhelming real quick if you aren't careful with it. So, shout out to him. He does a great job really throughout the song. There will be a few moments where I point him out, but I'm a big fan of the drummer for this band. Second off, we get the guitars coming in. So if you were listening to it up to this point for the first time and you think, oh, this is just, a Dwarven or some medieval tune or, whatever, tavern tune, it's like, no, this is an epic metal song. Big shit. So, you still there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm like all paranoid about audio shit now. Yeah, no, this is great. Do you remember the first time you heard that, or was it just the chorus? You just remembered the chorus.
I mean, I don't necessarily. The whole song for me, like listening to that specific moment. No, I can't speak to that specific moment, but I mean, like listening and hearing the whole song and playing it for forever to the point in which Devin and my wife probably considered leaving me because I played the song so much.
Damn.
I mean, it's just like it's a it's a it's a banger, like
Yeah.
I think from start to finish, there's not like one part in the song for me because it really just outside of like the intro and
Mm.
it's a lot of the same stuff over and over again,
Well,
you know?
it's a jam. Like it's fun.
Yeah,
It's funny. Like this song is pretty long. It's like 5 minutes 15 seconds.
yeah,
And
yeah.
but what's really interesting, like, so this is an interesting topic actually. Let's talk on this real quick. Is like length in a song because I think that we've talked about like the Ariana Grande song, right? Where every second of that song is just filled with like noises and sounds and it switches really fast. Like all the sections are like 5 seconds long or some shit. It's just like overwhelming your audio senses, but also like very soft spoken too, because that's just Ariana Grande's style. And it's like, basically, how could, like, let's take a 2 minute song and just cram it full with everything that we can do just to like overload the listener, right? You know? And to me, it's almost like sensory overload, like a, you know, I don't know. We've talked about that like with breakdowns and stuff. Like it's like candy or drugs or whatever. Like let's overload you with serotonin so that way you enjoy it, right? But I I've always maintained that like when you've got something good, you don't really need to do all of that. Like you don't need to be as concerned about like, oh, is the second verse still interesting? It's like, do you have a good verse melody? Do you have good music behind the verse? I think the verses of this song are a great example. We'll talk more about them, but like for example, the way that he comes in to the song, like the first line of lyrics, brothers of the mind rejoice, swing, swing, swing with me. It's like that's a very interesting way to do a verse, you know? So my position on what I'm saying is when you have something good, you don't need to really cover it up with gimmicks, and you can actually make that like you can extend that and you can have it be long and like full, because people, the listener doesn't need to be fooled or tricked into listening to the whole song by like overloading their senses with lots of changes and stuff. The listener will want to listen to the song because it's good. Like it's a good melody, you know? Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, like, listen, I still love that song.
Yeah. Like
I,
and I think that's like what makes a song like timeless, right? It's that you don't need to, you know, I feel like when you have a song that's trying to trick you into maybe we should do that. Let's pick a song next week for like a song that we feel like kind of it's good maybe the first time you listen to it or the second time, and then you realize it's like, oh, this song's kind of empty, or like it I don't like it's like full of gimmicks, and the gimmicks are what interested you, you know? I think
yeah,
I would like to talk about that because
I'm on board.
yeah, this is an example of the opposite. Like I don't feel like this song has any gimmicks at all. I feel like it is just good. Like it's a good song. The melody is great. Na 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 na. Like that's a good melody. And it's funny because of, you know, I went back and played you where it came from, but like it started from a very funny like place from some funny guys, like intelligent guys, um, who are being funny. And so it just has a very like spur of the moment fun element to it, and they built the whole song around that one melody, but it works really well. So yeah, anyway, whole point being like when you have a long song like this, you don't need to like, how do we fool the listener into wanting to listen to like our 5.5 minute song? It's like, well, just make the song good so then they want to listen to the whole song, you know? Like,
Yeah.
Gad. We should talk about that too. Like what makes like what is good in a song. Maybe we'll talk about it a little bit in this song, but like I think that would be a good episode as well. Like what
Yeah.
is what actually makes music good? It seems kind of, I feel like it's almost self-evident, but also it's not, you know?
Yeah.
Because if it was, then we wouldn't have bad music. So
Well, that's
anyway,
not true. But yes.
well, if we could just know like, okay, this is how to make good music, and it was easy and it was like a simple formula or something for making good music, I feel like, you know, everyone would be like, oh,
I
cool.
think you put a lot of faith in humanity
Shit.
to do the right thing.
You know what I think it is? I think a lot of times people don't like, you know how I was just saying how there's the songwriters, like the pop artists and stuff, who have to cram these songs in to like fool the listener into liking it. I feel like they get to a point where they actually think that that's like good music. It's like, oh, if
YouTuber.
like
Yeah.
if we haven't, you know, like, oh, it's a good song if it can play in Walmart and worm its way into the listener's brain, even though it's some stupid Katy Perry song, you know, or something. It's like that makes the song good, right? If the listener remembers it because it plays in Walmart for 10 years, like, it's like that's not good. Like I wouldn't consider that. You can have good songs that are played in Walmart and that worm their way into listeners' ears, but that is not what actually makes a song good. So, but I digress. A topic for a different time. Cool. Let's keep going. Yeah. All right, so we get a cool little thing here. So we're done with the intro. We get this nice little like pre-verse bridge. That's what this is. It is a pre-verse bridge. Very similar to like, our first episode when we talked about AC/DC, that little thing they did at the end of the chorus. So we're finished with the big epic intro, and they even like have this like, it sounds like a breath of fresh, like you can breathe now, like that push. Listen to that transition. There's like a push. You hear that?
Oh yeah.
It's really nice, and it literally is meant to be like, okay, you can breathe for a second, and that's what this section exists for. Because they could have just started right. They could have not had this section at all. Just started the vocals right there. Na 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 na, brothers of the mind rejoice. But no, they made the intentional decision to have this little instrumental section here. It's nice. Gets you a second, and then when the vocals come in here in a second, it's very, very impactful, I believe. So let's hear that. Brothers of the mind rejoice. Sing, sing with me. Raise your bigger, raise your voice. Sing. That's awesome. Yeah, so it's a call to action, that first line. Brothers of the mind rejoice. There's actually a lot of cool things happening here. So he's he's singing this very high register, like I don't even know if I can. Brothers of the mind rejoice, way up there. But then he's got like that lower octave is being covered as well, which is something I think is really fun about this song. Is almost all of the lyrics are like gang vocals, like lots and lots of layers on the vocals, which really gives it that like communal Dwarven minor feel.
Yeah.
Which and again, like that's the first line of the song, brothers of the mind rejoice. Like perfect first line for this song. Let's listen again. Brothers of the mind rejoice. Sing, sing with me. Raise your voice. Sing. Yeah, that's awesome. Brothers of the mind rejoice. Swing, swing, swing with me. Raise your pick and raise your voice. Sing, sing, sing with me. That is super cool. Kind of like this back and forth between like, okay, all the instruments cut out, and he says this big line, brothers of the mind rejoice, which actually it's not those lower vocals. I was listening just then. They're not doing they're not doing an octave. They're actually doing their own separate harmony. So he's doing kind of this, brothers of the mind rejoice. But then underneath it is going, brothers of the mind rejoice, and like kind of going up. And then to have the instruments line up with the swing, swing, swing with me. And then for everything to cut out again, except the guitars, which I'll talk about in a second. But for him to, everything for the most part cuts out, and he says, raise your pick and raise your voice. Sing, sing, sing with me. Yeah, that all just works really well. Like this is the song. Like it brings you into this song perfectly. Real quick, let's go back and let's listen again. Brothers of the mind rejoice. Yeah, the guitars are just straight up following that like dun 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 dun. I also want to say a quick bit about I think it's very clever of them. This is a very unique song topic, right? Like dwarves digging a hole. Like it's kind of like the crab song from Clutch, Like it's very unorthodox.
I'd say it's original, but it's clearly not in this specific instance.
Oh no, it is definitely very original. Like It is very original, and so it's like what I'm getting at is that it's very clever of them to rhyme the words swing and sing. And I know it seems very obvious, right? Like, of course they would rhyme that. They're writing a song about dwarves singing in a hole or whatever. But it's like, how many, what other song topic could you, would those words be like significant and that you could put them in there like that and put them in there in this way that is this impactful? I don't think that there is another way to do that or another song topic that where you could do that. Being a prisoner,
I was gonna say the only thing I could think of would be like digging a grave or something like that, like chain gang stuff.
right? But even then, like that's not, those are usually like sadder songs or like bluesy or something, something like more downbeat. This is upbeat. This is like swing, swing, sing, sing. It's like this is such a specific, it's such a specific vibe, and for them to like nail that again, like because obviously the chorus is the big like that's the big thing, right? But they're nailing it on the verses, like on the first few lines they're nailing it, right? Like it works perfectly, and these are very interesting words that would not typically be used together, in a song. So for them to find those words, rhyme them, and then put them in this chant style vocal, and then to have them on this sort of like offset from the acapella section where he's like, brothers of the mind rejoice, like having them as this big instrumental chanting offset to the acapella. It's all just it's very creative songwriting. It's very cool. I'm a big fan. um and so then you have the so then when they come back, so that he says swing, swing, swing with me, when he comes back with the raise your pick and raise your voice, these guitars just sound awesome. Listen to them when they come in.
Brothers of the mind rejoice.
Dun, 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 dun.
Raise your pick and raise your voice.
That's so cool. That like dun, 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 during the raise your pick and raise your voice. And it's again like, here, let's listen. Yeah, those guitars just sound killer. And it's a super cool way to make that little section sound different without necessarily like taking away from it. You're still building, you're still moving the song forward, and it's not like silly or weird sounding or off-putting. It's just a really cool instrumental thing to do, to just have those chugging guitars. Dun, 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 dun. So yeah, then we get into the second, we go into the second half of the verse. Do you have any thoughts on or anything left on that first part though?
Other than it's great.
Yeah, it really
I
is.
mean, yeah.
No, it does. Like it's a perfect beginning to the vocals of this song. Big, huge chanting, choir vocals, very intense instrumentation. Again, like kind of going back and forth. The call to action, like speaking to the listener. Brothers of the mind rejoice. Like you're a brother of the mind now, and you are rejoicing with them. It's great. So then we get into kind of a more we get into the plot, the story of the song here. So let's listen.
Down and down into the deep, who knows what will find beneath? Diamonds, rubies, gold, and more, hidden in the mountain's lore.
All right, so let's pause there. So yeah, we now here's the thing. We were kind of that back and forth section in the first half, brothers of the mind rejoice, swing, swing, swing with me, raise your pick and raise your voice, sing, sing, sing with me. It's like, okay, that's cool. But then we get the second part where we actually get to settle into a little bit of a groove and a jam. And so he can start to tell more of like a story or explain more of what they're doing, right? So this is kind of the role of a verse in general. So now we get, and so he describes lyrics like down and down into the deep, who knows what we'll find beneath, diamonds, rubies, gold, and more, hidden in the mountain store. So again, Song is about digging in a mountain, finding treasure. So we're setting that up, right? Like we are happy, we're brothers of the mind rejoice, we're good, but like what are we doing here? Well, we're finding diamonds and rubies. Like of course, right? Um yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. Let's I do think that the chords they choose are pretty cool too. They're very interesting sounding chords. Let's listen again.
Down and down into the deep. Who knows what we'll find beneath? Diamonds, rubies, gold, and more.
So they're actually descending on those chords. I didn't pick it up before, but I was curious. So they're going like dun 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 dun, like, which again fits perfectly with the down and down into the deep. Like I just I've got to give them their props. I really like it when the music is actually accentuating the song and like has a purpose to the song. It's kind of like when we were talking about Afterlife, and it's like, yeah, of course there would be strings at this part or like in the bridge of Afterlife because this is a very heartfelt moment. It's a very deep moment. It's like the emotional climax. So it makes sense to have these orchestral elements. Like it's really cool that they would set the chord progression up to be descending as they're saying the words down and down into the deep. So great imagery, great imagery, great vibes, um, cool stuff. Anyway.
Down and down into the deep. Who knows what we'll find beneath? Diamonds, rubies, gold, and more. Hidden in the mountain's lore.
So that's that. I do have a note on those little transitions. They are super fun and they break the song up really well. And they actually start to play with those transitions as the song goes on because there's a lot of them. You don't usually see stuff like that actually, like as many pauses as there are in this song, because there's another pause right before the chorus, and they're just all throughout the song, just these short little pauses with like a small dun 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 dun. I think that those little transitions actually help the song from they keep the song from becoming too metal, and they keep it like they allow it to have a more mainstream feel or like mainstream appeal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, I can get behind that.
Like it just breaks it up just enough. And I mean, to be fair, the song, the way that it's like structured, especially the Windrose version, it's very like very anthemic, very fun. It's super epic, definitely more hardcore than the original in a good way. And so it's like, but just before like I don't know, when you think about like you might be able to tell me like when a kid like a 5-year-old or something were to hear it, it's like just before it becomes too heavy for them, you have this little dun 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 and it's like we're still having fun.
I think my child leans in. My kid loves the song.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think, my almost 2-year-old is worried about it being quote unquote too heavy.
Well, fair enough. I think well, I guess my argument is that it's like these little things add up to it. Like your kid's obviously not going to notice or think about like that little dun 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 and what impact it has on his enjoyment of it. But like it's just like a little thing that keeps it from going too hard, if that makes sense, which, isn't a bad thing. I don't know. I might be off. Maybe it's just fun or, and that's what it is. But anyway, I wanted to talk about that real quick before we get, last point, last note on the pre-chorus. On this pre-chorus here, no, wait, we're getting into the pre-chorus now. Born underground, suckled from a teat of stone, which is hilarious. All right, let's listen to this pre-chorus real quick.
Diamonds, rubies, gold, and more. Hidden in the mountain's lore. Born underground, sucker from a teat of stone. Raised in the dark, the safety of our mountain.
All right, so real quick, couple things there. We're starting to open up. So we've had a very intense verse, down and down into the deep, who knows what we'll find beneath. Like it's been a very intense verse where the guitar chords are now opening up. The vocals are much more gang vocals, like there's more layers on it. And a fun little layer is that the flute is now playing everything with the vocals, which is actually something that they carry out throughout the chorus as well. I don't know if you've ever noticed that or not, but it's a fun little detail.
I've listened to the song a lot, bud.
So have
More
I.
especially
So have
since
I.
especially so he's like, I'm actually a million of those 60 million listens on the Yogscast.
I love this song. I was there. I was there before. I heard the demo. I am a dwarf and
I
I'm
listen.
digging a hole.
I literally probably listen to the song almost every day because my kid likes it.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
You've
in
probably
some capacity.
you definitely heard the song more than I have, but I've known
Yeah.
that I have genuinely known about this song since like it first came out, like over 10 years ago. It's kind of crazy when I think about it. Okay, so anyway, I just wanted to point out that little flute coming in during the pre-chorus. It kind of we're picking up the energy a little bit more after the very metal, very intense, verse, and we are picking that energy up for a reason because we are going somewhere very fun. Let's see. Love that little transition. I love that build up. That, to dig and dig makes us free. Come on, brother, sing with me. Because they've been in this very low register, raised in the dark, the safety of our mountain home. But then we really start to pick that, like, come on, brother, sing with me. Like they start to raise their voices in a very noticeable way. Yeah, just wanted to comment. It's a nice little build up because we're getting to the goods. We're getting to the meat and potatoes here. Diggy, diggy, hole. That's awesome. So good. Classic. Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit. So the first thing that I want to note, the drums are absolutely killer. Again, props to him. He leaves tons of space open on the whatchamacallit, on the first digging a hole, or I am a dwarf and I'm digging a hole. And then he comes in with these awesome fills and then like starts to actually play the beat along with it. And he does this double kick pattern, which is just sweet. So here. So yeah, great drum fills there. The guitars and everything is pretty serviceable. Like they're kind of in the background. They're not really the forefront because obviously the forefront is this chorus melody, which we're going to talk about in a second. But yeah, like all the instruments are kind of serving this chorus. So let's talk about it. This is hilarious. It's great. And I love, what has always been like my favorite part of this chorus, funnily enough, is the very last line, diggy diggy hole, digging a hole. Like, just in case you didn't quite understand what we were doing, we are digging a hole. Like, yeah, diggy diggy hole. Sounds like a Pokemon move or something.
Diglett, Diglett, Diglett.
Right. No, it's great. Honestly, okay, so real talk, it's a very, very catchy melody. Da 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 da. And so that last note there is actually really cool because it kind of leaves some tension, like da 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 da, diggy diggy hole. Like that's actually a tension building note. So then we can come back down. I am a dwarf and I'm digging a hole, diggy diggy hole, digging a hole, and then we resolve on that last one. Yeah, this is definitely like a very Celtic groove. Dun 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 dun. Like that, you hear that type of rhythm all the time. I think it's almost it's in Cliffs of Dover as well by Eric Johnson. You know, dun 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 dun. Like it's a very common melody. It's very happy sounding. I don't know what the psychology is behind why that sounds so happy, but it just, oh, you know what? It might be skipping. It might be because it's skipping. Like it reminds the human of skipping. Dun, 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 dun. Um, yeah, interesting. But yeah, that's the melody though. It's a great melody. Again, it was very spur of the moment from someone who's not a musician, obviously on that one YouTube video, but it's hilarious. It works really well. And so having, and then the flute is playing under it as well, which having that flute in there just gives it, you know, a little bit more charm, a little more of that Celtic feel, and yeah, just lots of really great stuff. So it's funny because it is a very like it's a simple pure melody. It's just it's really solid, it's really good. The lyrics are hilarious. So there's not like a crazy ton to talk about with it. It's just good. It's a good melody, catchy. So any other thoughts on this chorus before we keep going?
Banger. The whole song's a banger.
Banger. All right, let's keep going. So one thing real quick that I want to point out is that they do have this really nice post chorus bridge here. So like again, after this huge, crazy, epic chorus, we get a little break for like a few seconds, and then we get to go back into the verse. I'm a dwarf and I'm digging a hole. It's so funny.
The sunlight will not reach this low.
So there we go. Fun little pre-chorus. The guitars are actually doing something a little different there. Da da dun, da 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 dun, da da da. A little more cheerful guitar part from the like super epic ones that we were hearing earlier. So fun little change. But yeah, so then we have the vocals come in. Now, fun thing about this vocal is it sounds like they cut out the lower harmonies. So it's just the one singer, and he's saying the sunlight will not reach this low. Let's talk about that real quick, or let's listen again.
Light will not reach this low. I've never seen the blue moon glow. First one flies so high, feel a glass and down for me. Stop your bellies at the feast. Stumble home and fall asleep, dreaming in a mountain deep.
Now, musically, they're doing all the same stuff that we did in the first verse, so I don't think we need to talk about it too much. But yeah, the lyrics are: the sunlight will not reach this low, deep, deep in the mine. Never seen the blue moon glow. Dwarves won't fly so high. Cool imagery. Lots of cool imagery, lots of cool topics. Yeah. I don't know if there's too much else to say. We're just having fun at this point, you know?
Uh, no, I mean, I'd agree. Yeah, I mean, the whole song is just kind of like a fun thing. I do think imagery wise, top notch. I was trying to link it. We were talking about imagery, just lyrics. I can't remember what episode it was.
Um,
Um, and how it was very much so lackluster.
the imagery
So
was
I think
lackluster.
this, yeah.
I
I wish I could remember the specific instance, but I can't.
Let me see. Uh,
But
yeah,
it doesn't really matter. Nonetheless, go listen to Windrose.
yeah, lots of fun imagery. Was it? I mean, it might have been. You know, it's probably "Women's World" by Katy Perry. God, that song sucks. Anyway,
Maybe.
maybe. Uh-huh. Okay. Oh, that's funny. I love that now. Okay. Yeah, like when you're talking about, so imagery is always super important with your lyrics. I think so. I think you should always have some lyrics that describe the imagery. You just don't want all of your lyrics to be imagery based. Like the imagery should exist to serve the plot or the story or the, you know, the point of the song. Yeah, like I always find it kind of tedious when a song does nothing but describe imagery. You know, like there's no point to any of it. It's just like, what are we, you know, what are we singing about? So yeah, I think this song does a good job of setting up imagery and putting you in that vibe, because I think like this type of medieval music just inherently has a lot of imagery in it. I'll talk about this a little bit more when we get to the interlude, because the interlude is great. But yeah, anyway, so let's keep going on this. So yeah, the lyrics there are: fill a glass and down some mead, stuff your bellies at the feast, stumble home and fall asleep, dreaming in our mountain keep. So yeah, like again, when you look at the things that the topics that they're covering in these two verses, like these two main parts of the verses, it's like brothers of the mind rejoice. It's like, yeah, we're all together, we're in it. Down and down into the deep, who knows what we'll find beneath. It's like, okay, we are dwarves, we're part of we're a clan, we're brothers in the mine, we are looking for gold. That's what we've established. Then we talk about like the sun, like the sunlight will not reach this low, deep, deep in the mine, never seen the blue moon glow, dwarves won't fly so high. It's kind of an interesting little thing that they're putting there, like dwarves are grungy and dirty. Like we're not these princessy little elves or whatever. Like we're in the mud, we're in the dirt, we don't fly that high, But then they immediately explain the positives with like, oh, we're doing some mead, we're stuffing our bellies, we're having fun, stumble home. So there's just like, I just, the reason I'm pointing this out is because you only have so much time in a song to like, or so much space in a song to say what you want to say and apply it, like put words to the actual music, right? So you have to be very careful about what you say and what you want to put in there, and make sure, like in this case, like this song isn't really a story, right? This is more of a vibe song. This is like a fun song. And so it's like you want to keep that vibe going and reinforce it. So it's very fun for them to like, or it's good to see them put the setup and what they're doing in the mines in the first verse, and then it's like, or like why they're in the mines in the first verse, and then kind of explain a little bit more in this second verse about like, yeah, we're partying, we're having fun, we love being here, So anyway, the point being, be very selective about what you put into your verses, because that's where you get to set things up. Diggy Diggy Hole is great, it's a great line, but it doesn't really have like depth or imagery to it, aside from the image of digging a hole. So
I mean, I feel like it goes pretty deep. I bet they dig some deep. There's great depths they've been to.
that's a deep fucking hole. Yeah. Well, I mean, they've got to be digging deep. They've been fucking digging for 10 years, man. Okay. So we get into the second pre-chorus here. Yeah, these are great lyrics. Born underground. So it's funny because the first pre-chorus is like, born underground, suckled from a teat of stone, raised in the dark, the safety of our mountain home. Like they could have just kept that, but they changed it here, it's good. It means that they actually cared about the song and put some effort in. So yeah, born underground, grown inside a rocky womb, the earth is our cradle, the mountains shall become our tomb. Face us on the battlefield, you will meet your doom. We do not fear what lies beneath, we can never dig too deep. Fun stuff, let's listen. Yeah. So again, musically pretty much the same, but again, just reinforcing like, yeah, we're doing this shit. We're the best. We're not afraid. We're happy to be here. This is our home. We're dwarves, etc., etc. I think one little thing that I wanted to point out is he says, face us on the battlefield, you will meet your doom. They really stress that will, it's fun. It's like, we're the best. And then yeah, we get back into the chorus. Yeah, they are digging a hole. And so actually this second chorus here, it is doubled. But I don't think there's any change between the two halves. I don't think there's a change. Let me listen a little bit closer. The double comes in right here. Yeah, there's no change there. But I mean, it's got to be said, this chorus is going extremely hard right now. Yeah, they're like full throttle on it. So, and by that, real quick, let me explain. I mean, like literally, like the sounds in your ears, like the actual like wavelengths and everything that the chorus is taking up. We've got, you know, guitar tracks, bass tracks, the flute, kick drums, you know, cymbals and like a full band playing, but then you got the flute and the orchestral elements, then you got multiple layers of vocals. Like it is just a very full sound to the point where it almost becomes like it wouldn't actually serve the song to have more in here, you know? Because there's also, yeah, there's strings in the background too, I just heard. So now real quick, we're about to get into a beautiful little musical interlude here. Let's listen. Majestic AF, my dude. Yeah, so we were talking about imagery, and I want to discuss it here. Like, this sounds like something straight out of Skyrim. I mean, it literally just makes me think of Skyrim, walking around, fighting dragons and shit. Like, it's just great. So you've got the choir in the background, the ha, along with the, I believe it's a cello playing. Very beautiful stuff. Yeah, with some extra string layers in the background. You can kind of hear the string layers like sort of in the left speaker, like in your left ear. But yeah, it's all doing a very good job. Well, real quick, everything that's playing here is very airy, very light and open. Obviously, the rock instruments have cut out, and like we're coming out of this really big epic chorus. So yeah, it's really cool having instrumentation like that, like this in a song like this too. I should point out, I think it's amazing that like more work went into this like joke song, which is not even really a joke song. It really is like a legitimate song, right? But it kind of is a joke song. It's just like fun. But the point is like more work went into this than like most professional songs that you hear in like top 40 radio. It's a little crazy, you know? So fucking mainstream music. Yeah. So then you get this nice little transition, or this next section, because it continues to build. This might actually be my favorite section of the song. I mean, aside from the chorus, which I love, but like this section is really well done. You have the drums playing. It's not really a drum kit. It's more of like kind of older medieval style drums mixed really like in the background to give it this kind of old timey feel. But then you have acoustic guitar tracks, like separate acoustic guitar tracks in both the left and the right ear, like right speakers, which actually, when you're listening to that, like they're mixed very lightly, so you really only hear like the airiness of the guitar. You're not actually hearing the full guitar. You kind of just hear the strumming. Listen to that again. That dun 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 dun. And then lastly, we've got this really nice, like, I'm not sure what it is. I think it's like a bell or a xylophone or something in the middle, just going dun 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 dun.
It's a harp.
It's a harp. Yeah, it is a harp.
So.
You are 100% right. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's most of the musical elements though, and like what's going on. Hold on, let me listen one more time. Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much everything. That is a harp. You're right. I should have known that. I knew it was like a plucked or like a percussive instrument, which like pianos and harps are technically no, they're not really percussive, but like whatever. Long story short,
The piano is literally percussive.
well, yeah,
Harp is
pianos are percussive.
strings.
I knew it was something like that. Like I knew it wasn't like a lute or something like, but I just couldn't. I didn't think of a harp. Anyway, I just went on a big old tangent, kind of explaining what all of that was. I love it all. I think the instrument's great. But what do you think of this section, Aubrey?
I think it is a nice kind of like, I don't want to say intermission because there's a lot going on, but I guess kind of like a refresher.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, um, gives it some air to the song, changes our demeanor a little bit. Um, I think without this part, because it's like a what, 5 minute, 30-second song.
Yeah,
Like obviously get rid of this part, it'd probably knock out like 30, 40 seconds or so. But I think the song would get stale.
definitely. Yeah, I think that this section actually gives the song like depth. Honestly, you know what's funny? Here, let's listen to the Yogscast version real quick because I don't think that this section was in the original. Yeah, see, it's way less orchestrated.
Feels like the PlayStation version. And we
Right.
got the remaster.
And see, yeah, they go straight into the pre-chorus there. So it's there is something, but it's way less refined. Because yeah, the first time I heard the Windrose version, I was like, oh, I don't remember that. Um, I think my Spotify just like crapped out. Jeez, just technical issue after technical issue, man.
Uh,
What the hell? Like, anyway, uh, while I get that wrapped up, we can, or while I get that back up, we can keep talking about it though. Yeah, I think it's great. I think it actually adds a little bit more depth to the song. Because it's still happy sounding. Like even though it's this kind of epic musical break in the middle, like it is very pleasant. Like it doesn't necessarily sound sad or like it's emotional. It definitely has that emotional tinge to it, but it doesn't necessarily, especially when the drums kick back in, it sounds much happier and like upbeat to me. Yeah. So to me that like that still sounds super happy. It's fun. It's a really nice touch from like Windrose, and like to be clear, that's 100% Windrose. So
well, I think. Oh, excuse me. I said this actually while you were pulling Spotify back up, but my mic was muted, so it didn't get caught. But
dang
I think it's interesting the Yogscast people even like had the thought of just like, you know what we need right here? Some ahs and some boo doo boo doo boo doo boo. Like
something.
the fact that they had I guess the wherewithal to freshen it up a little bit. After this, I'm gonna go back and listen to like the Yogscast version,
Yeah.
um, and the differences.
Well, it's funny. This is one of the things that I've always liked about the Yogscast, and like why I still watch them is like I never got the sense that they were just like. Well, first off, I like them as people. Like I've watched them long enough. I've seen enough of their videos and stuff. Like I actually really enjoy, especially the main two guys, Simon and Lewis. Like I like them as people. Like I think they're smart guys. They're creative guys. They really care about what they do. They like to put in good effort. Um and that's why I like watching them, you know. And honestly, they're like some of the few YouTubers from that era that are still doing it, and still like, I don't think either of them, you know, there have been people in the Yogscast that have gotten into like controversies and stuff, but the two of them have never had any like seriously bad press or anything, or like any controversies. Like they just seem like genuine cool dudes who care about what they're doing. And so, you know, they'll joke about this song, right? Like when they're playing Minecraft, it's like, what's our song gonna be? I am a dwarf and I'm digging a hole, diggy diggy. You know, it's like, it's stupid. But like, then when they say, okay, we're actually gonna make this a song, like they put, like, they're not musicians, but they know what goes into making a good song. They've made other good songs before, but this is definitely the most popular. And that's why the song has, you know, 67 million views on YouTube. I mean, like, that's no small feat. So yeah, like, props to them and the whole team that like put that together. But then I think it's interesting because, like, obviously I think the Yogscast version is a good song, but for Windrose to kind of take it and really like, I mean, I think they really made it their own. Like, they did a great job, like, incorporating it into their own style of like songwriting and like how they sound. And truthfully, when I listen to these songs back to back, I do enjoy the Windrose version more because of like, really because of this big interlude here, but all of the little details and stuff, you know, they kept the essence of the song, but just turned it up to 11, you know? So it's good stuff. Like it's just all around good musicianship from everybody. Um, so yeah, speaking of turning it up to 11, we are going to get into the rock portion of this musical interlude. One thing I want to point out here before I play it though, there's a really interesting thing that happens at some, you know, kind of a few seconds into this, where the instruments kind of, they oh, sorry. The instruments sort of like step back mix wise for a second. And then there's like an acoustic guitar in the right speaker, which sounds really cool. It's like, when I describe it, it sounds like it would be a little off-putting, but it works perfectly. And it really stuck out to me when I was listening to it. It's a really nice sounding element. So yeah, let's listen. Right there. You hear that? I love that. Like, I'm not sure exactly what they did with the mix, but like just that little guitar in your right ear, in the right speaker, going dun 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 dun. It just sounds so nice to me. It's a very interesting musical decision to make, but it's really cool. So yeah, hold on, let's listen to that one more time. Right here. The guitar is cut out. That's what it is. The guitars don't play during that part. But you've got these heavy strings, and like the strings are playing this really awesome melody. Na, 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 na. So yeah, other than that, it's all pretty kind of status quo for the rest of the section. Like it's all very pleasant sounding and it works really well. I think the only thing, this was like my only note for this, or like my only critique, was that I do wish there was like a little more of a lead something here. It doesn't need to be a guitar, but, and I know the strings are playing, but I just feel like there could have been something else kind of layered in here, you know? But I don't think it's necessary, and maybe it wouldn't have worked if they had done it. Maybe they tried it and it just didn't work. But yeah, it's just interesting. It's a cool little section without any sort of leads. It's more just a vibe. And maybe that's what they wanted, so makes sense. But yeah, let's play it out. It's gonna go into another pre-chorus, so let's just let it play into the pre-chorus. So yeah, cool little section. They did go to a nice like a tempo or a beat change there in the middle, but again, nothing else was really changing. It was pretty much just a nice vibe, a nice pleasant, break from all the intensity, and then we come back into the pre-chorus. Now it's funny because I was complimenting them on not repeating pre-choruses before. I did not realize until just now that they totally copied the first pre-chorus here for the third pre-chorus. So, man, lazy bums. No, I'm joking. Um, but so we don't need to cover. There's no change between the first and the third pre-chorus. But before we get into the last chorus, I did want to point out this transition into the last chorus, which I think is fantastic. Where is it? It is at around 420. Yeah, that's just awesome. So first off, they like doubled or maybe even quadrupled the original little instrumental break before the chorus. And then that drum solo is super cool. He's hitting all sorts of different little cymbals and sounds. It's very technical, but not like overwhelming to the listener. So again, like I think a wide variety of people can appreciate it and enjoy it, and most importantly, it keeps the vibe of the song going. It doesn't just sound like some obnoxious drummer decided to do some random ridiculously technical drum solo. It definitely fits with the vibe of the song, even despite just being drums. So let's listen to that one more time. Yeah, that's just great. Awesome little change. So yeah, just to kind of knock the rest of this out, the chorus, the third chorus is doubled as well, but there's no changes there. And then they had this little outro here. The outro is cool. I think my one note is that there's some cool guitar stuff, like little guitar harmonies and stuff happening here. I kind of wish they had done some more stuff like that throughout the rest of the song, because I think it's cool what they do, but it's okay. Like it's all good. It kind of gives the outro its own little flavor, which makes you want to listen to it more, like to the end of the song. So yeah, I'm gonna just let this outro play real quick. Like that. Like the I know I said I was gonna play, but those little like like that's cool. Like that's a cool little riff that they've got going there that we didn't hear before. So then we have a change in the drums. We have the chants come in, and then they actually harmonize that riff there that on the guitars. Right there. And yeah, that's the end of the song. So yeah, I think that outro specifically, like again, shout out to Windrose, because they took the time to make that outro like unique and interesting, even though it's only like 10 seconds. And that's just, it's good songwriting. Like they cared. They, like you said, to put it in your words, Aubrey, they had the wherewithal to give a shit. So but yeah, there we go. That's Diggy Diggy Hole. Are you still alive?
Boom, 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 boom.
There you are. Diggy Diggy Hole. Man, I love this song. I would just like to point out, Aubrey, if you played this song for me every day, I wouldn't leave you.
Neither would my son.
Yeah. All right. Well, there we go. We did it, gang. That's another one. Another one bites the dust. You know,
Ooh,
one day we'll get through every single song. If we just
that's literally not enough days
if we just
to do that.
if we keep doing songs, eventually we'll do all of the songs, Aubrey.
Doesn't even sound fun. It sounds painful.
Yeah. Well, let's say we did this album. It's 9 songs on this album. It would take us, what was that, 2 months?
2 months
The
basically.
Windrose month. Um, a month of Windrose. Yeah. I like switching it up. I like just going left to right, left to right. Just who knows what we're going to do next, right? It's fun. So, well, that's it. Yeah, do you have any closing thoughts on this one?
I
What?
mean,
Oh,
I think I think this is a good place to start your Windrose journey. Um, this is, I mean, this is the song that got me into Windrose. And I think they had 1 or 2 albums before this album came out.
so I was actually looking through their discography, and it does seem like they had a few albums before this.
Yeah,
They had one album before this, and then I think they had like an EP. But I feel like this was where they really embraced being like dwarf metal. Their first album looks like more just general, you know, general medieval metal. But then
I think they've always been pretty Dwarven, personally.
maybe
I'm not super familiar with the first album, like I am the other stuff, but um,
let
yeah.
me let me
If
let me put it like this. Their first album I think is the only one that doesn't have a dwarf on the album cover.
that might be true. Um, I think if you like going to live shows, even if you're not a fan of them or super familiar with them, just go and you'll guaranteed to have a good time.
Do it. Yeah. That sounds fun. I should go. We opened for a band that was kind of like this, like power metal. It's not like I know it's not the same, but like kind of medieval power metal type stuff. I can't remember. Oh shit, where they? Oh, Immortal Guardian. We're actually like friends with them. And they've come through Austin a few times. Um, it's a lot of fun. Like these types of bands put on crazy shows. So, yeah, highly recommend. Um, But yeah, cool. Yeah, I love this song. I think this song is super cool, and it's funny because it's like you have it originates from two people who aren't musicians, but then like you know you if you care about something and you care about quality and you care about what you put out and you put some work into it, like you can actually make something really great, even if it's you can take a line as kind of silly as like diggy diggy hole, and you can turn it into something that's actually really high quality and timeless to a certain extent. Very fun, very enticing, very happy song. Uh, yeah. So it just is it's a testament to what like caring about things and caring about quality and actually giving a shit when you go to make anything really, not just music, but like whatever. Like I've always felt like the Oxcast puts out high quality, YouTube content. That's why I watch them. I think that they've always been good at that. And I think that it carries over into their songs, and into their songs, and especially this one. And then I think Windrose's attention to detail and their, skills as musicians as well translated perfectly to it, and they added a lot of wonderful elements to this already really solid song. So yeah, shout out to smart, creative, hardworking people doing great things. I'll drink some mead to that. I'll make a toast to that.
I
All right.
don't know. Do dwarves drink a lot of mead, you think?
It's
Are
in
they
this
more?
it's in the song.
Yeah, but like when I think of a dwarf, I don't know if I think of mead per se.
Let me Google it. What do dwarves drink?
I mean, I'm not saying they wouldn't not drink mead, but I don't know that that would be their first adult beverage of
Ah, you know what?
choice.
You're right. Ale. They drink ale.
Yeah, yeah, that feels more dwarven.
Yeah. You all right, you're right. I love it. Are dwarves heavy drinkers? the Dwarf Fortress wiki. All right, cool. Well, then we will call it there. I hope everybody enjoyed this episode. It was definitely a fun one. It was fun for me getting to kind of, take it back a little bit, go back to the Yogscast days. Yeah, a lot of nostalgia here. Happy to see that Aubrey and his kid are enjoying it. Aubrey, you should go listen to it, and then I don't know if the early Yogscast is I don't think it's appropriate for kids, but like when your kid gets older, maybe show him some Yogscast. So yeah,
Maybe I'll play their version of Diggy Diggy Hole for him and see how he responds.
that'd be very interesting. You should let me know. I feel like
Yeah.
it's
really picky.
I think it's gonna be really tough to beat. Like, let me put it this way: I think Windrose improved on the song. I think the Windrose version is better. It is an overall improvement in every metric. So it'll be very interesting. Let me know on the next episode. Yeah. Let the listeners know too. Cool. All right. Well, on that note, everybody, we will talk to y'all later. All right. Let's hit him with a big Wally.
Wally.